The velocity drops into the pools of the flickering, fluorescent, glaring island of the state. The canopy of the toll booth hides the rain, but it cannot hide the burden of the day. The wipers stop their rhythmic dance, leaving a window of the temporary and the clear. I am looking at the narrow window, looking at a life that is small and it is near. A permanent light burns inside the booth, guarding the travelers of the long and lonely road. In this desolate geography, we are exchanging the fragments of the heaviest load. I roll down the window, and the cold air rush into the center of the warmest space. This is a borderland, a sanctuary of the exchange and the solitary grace. The face of the collector is masked, revealing only the eyes that are weary and are deep. I can see the folds of the history, secrets that the tired people always try to keep. There are no extra words, only the clinking of the metal and the rustle of the white. The most honest transaction in the middle of the heavy in the city-ish night. He hands me the receipt, his fingertips carrying a hint of the warmth and the dust. I wanna say something, but silence is the script of the tradition and the trust. At this junction of the 3M, we are two stars crossing in the center of the void, sharing a moment of the peace, sharing a moment that the night hasn't destroyed. Stop the wheels, pay the price, cold as the steel, cold as the ice. A brief look, then we part, the blues are beating in the heart. Toll booth blues circling under the artificial light. A temporary stay in the middle of the heavy night. A piece of paper recording the distance and the soul, giving back the spirit, the absolute and total control. The coins rattle in the plastic tray, breaking the silence of the midnight-ish affair. I can see the taillights of the phantom cars jumping in the mirror and the air. Everyone is heading to a destination, or escaping from a memory of the past. The toll booth is the judge of the secrets in a world that is moving way too fast. This narrow corridor connects the city with the wilderness of the heavy-ish dark. We are paying the price for the privilege, searching for the meaning and the spark. It is not about the money, it is about the intersection of the time and the space. In this lonely junction we are finding a version of the universal grace. I see the half-empty cup of tea on his desk, sending a microcloud of steam into the air. His only companion in this long duration, his only remedy for the burden of despair. My companion is the steering wheel, my companion is the horsepower and the fire. We exchange our existences in the gap of the second before the golden moments expire. The barrier rises slowly like a gate to the future and a gate to the unknown. I tap the accelerator, feeling the gears whisper, the sound vanishing into the roar of the mechanical-ish song. Heading back into the rain, heading back to where the solitary spirits belong. Shrinks in the rearview mirror, vanishing into the edge of the night, returning to the 100-kilometer rhythm, re-embracing the shadows and the light. The pause was a hallucination, a slice of the humanity in the center of the stone. On this desolate highway, this is the only connection that the spirit has ever known. The receipt is tucked into the dashboard, squeezed between the memories and the ink, reminding me that I stopped, reminding me that I had the opportunity to think. Life is a series of the toll booths, paying a price for every mile that we have spent, until we reach the destination, until we understand exactly what the journey meant. Are still singing on the radio, matching the vibration of the rain. I feel a strange sense of the peace, transforming the loss into a spiritual gain. Maybe the loneliness is not an enemy, as long as there is someone, God in the light. Even if it's just a window, even if it's just a nod in the middle of the night. The road is long, but I have received the most precious kind of supply, a proof of the existence under the heavy and the leaden color sky. I turn the final corner, and the city suddenly blooms on the left-hand side of the glass, like a tray of spilled diamonds on the black velvet, watching the many hours pass. Thousands of windows, hiding thousands of the stories and the dreams behind the glow. In the cell-lighted highway, I am just a microlight that only the spirits really know. The skyscrapers reach into the clouds, their signal lights blinking in a red frequency, a festival of the prosperity, and I am just the observer of the grand in the city. The rain has cleaned the air, leaving the sea of lights so crystalline and so cold. The skeleton of the civilization, a story of the beauty that is ancient and is old. pointing to the busy days and searching for the meaning and searching for a spark. From this distance, all the chaos turns into a version of the perfect harmony. The noise is filtered by the space, leaving only the silence of the light shimmering sea. The skyline is a jagged line, cutting the indigo and the blackness of the sky. It's beautiful and it's unreal, like a science fiction movie passing by. In this high-velocity perspective, I am trying to capture every single detail and part, folding the shock and the solitude into the center of the heavy and the human heart. So far away, so close to the soul, the city's taking the absolute control. In that sea of light, is there a place for me? A small sanctuary in the deep geography. The distant skyline, embedded in the edge of the heavy midnight. The dream we are chasing, the yesterday we are escaping with the light. In the jungle of the steel and the glass, where the secrets always stay. I am looking at the glow, feeling the grace of the universal way. The piano notes are like shooting stars, crossing this imaginary and the grand scene. In the melody of the fretless space, I feel the weight of everything that has lately been. The city gave us everything, and it took away the original and the simple face, making us lose ourselves in the center of the frantic and the high-speed race. But I am still attracted to it, wrapped in the blanket of the brilliant and the void, like a moth to the fire, a feeling that the reality hasn't quite destroyed. The skyline is a promise, a cold and a successful and a high-rise-ish stream. In this solitary cockpit, I am embracing the particles of the planetary scheme. I see the cables of the bridge, like the strings of a giant and a silent guitar, supporting the dreams across the bay, reaching for the meaning and reaching for a star. Thousands of vehicles are flowing, like the neural pulses on the rhythmic move. We are the small parts of the machine, finding the high speed and the solitary groove. The raindrops on the side window blur the geometric and the sharpish design, making the city soft, making the ordinary moments look so very fine. The skyline shrinks in the mirror, and it extends in the front of the drive, a never-ending navigation, reminding me that I am finally and truly
from distance, comes from the regret that we can't touch. When we are inside, there is only the noise and the pressure that we desire way too much. But on this highway, the skyline is my only coordinate and my only faith, guiding me through the desolation, guiding the spirit and guiding the ghostish ray.
Off the black artery into this neon aisle, a lighthouse for the weary and the lost. The station is a desolate and a quiet place, guarding the travelers at a heavyish cost. Fluorescent tubes flicker in the ceiling, illuminating the surface of the white and the concrete. The air is thick with the scent of the gasoline, the flavor of the danger in the retreat. I kill the engine and the world turns into a silence that is absolute and is deep. In this liminal space, the time has lost its gravity and the promises it means to keep. I step out of the car and my footsteps echo under the canopy of the heavyish dark. A ritual of the preparation, searching for the meaning, searching for a spark. I insert the card, watching the numbers dance in a silent and a digitalized move. The click of the nozzle meeting the metal is a rhythmic and a mechanical-ish groove. The liquid flows through the invisible pipes, injecting the blood into the heart of the steel. I lean on the door, watching the lights of the highway and the fragments of the real. Inside the shop, the clerk is staring at the phone, trapped in a circle of the bluish light. Behind the transparent glass, everyone is living in their own and the solitary night. The vending machine hums a low-frequency song, the only sign of life in the center of the dark. In this solitary supply station, I feel the true and the silent essence of the spark. Fill the tank, clear the mind, leave the noisy world behind. A brief stay, quiet breath, defying the silence and the soulish death. Refuel the soul under the shadow of a neon sign, a temporary stay in a structural and beautiful design. Liquid energy flowing into the heart of the machine, the loveliest perspective I've ever seen. I look at the colorful labels on the machine, thinking of the dreams that I have lately lost in the long journey of the life. What is the value and what is the heaviest cost? The fuel gauge is spinning, accumulating the price of the distance and the time. And I just wanna find the elegance in the center of the rhythm and the rhyme. The wind from the highway is a cold and a sharp reminder of the world out there. A magnificent and beautiful and a solitary kind of a silentish prayer. We are the drifters stopping at the harbor of the electric and the whitish glow. The only kind of rhythm that I really know. How I walk into the shop, buying a cold black coffee and a piece of the peppermint-ish grace. The sound of the metal opening, it is a symphony in this sophisticated and solitary space. I look at the rows of the snacks, feeling a strange sense of the order and the need. In this chaotic universe, this is the only sanctuary that is total and incomplete. The television in the corner is playing the midnight news without a single sound, a proof of the existence that is rooted in the holy and the concrete-ish ground. I step back to the pavement, watching my car reflecting pump makes a final and a sharp click, signaling the ending of the supply. I screw the cap tight, feeling the stability under the heavy and the laden color sky. The weight is in the tank, giving me the courage to continue through the dark. I sit back in the seat, feeling the warmth of the leather and the meaning and the spark. I open the mint and the coldness rushes into the center of a tired-ish mind. The bass on the radio returns, leaving the trouble and the static far behind. This is a transition space, a ritual of recovery and the spiritual-ish event, a monument to all the time that the spirit has lately in solitary spent. I look at the highway extending ahead like a giant in a waiting-ish puzzle, but I am not confused because I have refueled the core and refueled the muzzle. The neon sign shrinks in the mirror, waving a goodbye and vanishing in the night. I read into the main line, feeling the rhythm of the engine is light and it is right. Refuel the soul is a coordinate, a reminder of when to stop and when to go. On this neon rain highway, it is the only sanctuary that I really wanna know. The velocity is back to 100 and the spirit is ready for the new, heading to the horizon for the you. Refuel the soul under the shadow of the neon sign. A temporary stay in structural and beauty.
Engage tonight, ready to roll. The key turns a lock inside the center of the soul, giving the machinery the absolute and total control. The dashboard is a galaxy of the emerald and blue, revealing every detail for the me and for the you. Outside the glass, the world is just a blur of the gray, washing all the fragments of the city far away. I pull the lever and I hear the rubber meet the glass, watching as the many heavy raindrops slowly pass. Shuck, shuck, the rhythm is a heartbeat of the drive, reminding me that in this moment I am finally alive. A mechanical metronome in a world of the chaotic, something very simple and something very hypnotic. Clear in the vision, clear in the view, everything is starting to look a little bit new. The water beads and then it vanishes from sight, defeated by the rhythm of the artificial light. The street lamps are like golden needles in the mist, a beauty that the darkness has reluctantly kissed. I shift the gear to drive and I feel the sudden pull, filling up the spirit in the many empty holes. The wipers are my conductor leading the song, where the sentences are beautiful and the night is very long. We are the navigators of the urbanish sea, connected by the minor and the soul harmony. Left, right, wipe it clean, everything in between. Rhythm of the blade, shadow and the shade, wipers in rhythm, a cadence for the road, carrying the heavy and the solitary load. A dance of the rubber and a dance of the mind, leaving all the trouble and the static far behind. the asphalt wet, an image of a beauty that I haven't finished yet. It sounds like a low frequency and a resonant roar, opening the portal of the high-speedish door. The rain is getting heavier, but the rhythm stays the same, giving every feeling is specific in its name. I'm sitting in the cockpit of the leather and the wood. Everything is exactly as it should. Maybe the life is just a journey through the rain, searching for the ending of the sorrow and the pain. And the wipers are the symbols of the persistence and the grace suspended in the center of the solitary space. They brush away the confusion and they brush away the doubt, helping me to figure exactly what it's all about. Inside this metal sanctuary I am safe and I am warm, restoring equilibrium in the center of the storm. I see the red of the tail lights like a river in the dark, searching for a meaning and searching for a spark. The wipers are the pulse, the wipers are the guide, with absolutely nowhere for the spirit left to hide. It's a meditation, it's a tactile affair, hanging in the humid and the heavy highway air. The roads is a cushion for the mechanical sound, the finest kind of sanctuary that I have ever found. Left, right, wipe it clean, everything in between. Rhythm of the blade, shadow and the shade. Wipers and rhythm, a cadence for the road, carrying the heavy and the solitary load. Oh, a dance of the rubber and a dance of the mind, leaving all the trouble and the static far behind. Crystal clear for a second and a bit, and I am loving every single little part of it. Before the water returns in a sudden liquid rush, adding to the rhythm of the highway-ish hush, I feel a sense of lightness and I feel a sense of pride, with absolutely nowhere for the spirit left to hide. The wipers are a testament of the action and the soul, giving me the absolute and the total control. So thank you for the rubber, and thank you for the rain, for making the recovery and the transformation plain. The wipers and rhythm are the anthem of the night, for helping us to face the coming and the blinding light. I push into the darkness with the vision in the headlong. I see the green sign glowing in the high beams, a symbol of the homecoming and the light. The target is blooming in the distance, at the end of the long and the solitary night. I flip the turn signal, the rhythmic tick-tock echoing in the center of the silent space. The final chapter of the journey, a transition of the momentum and the grace. I tap the brake, feeling the inertia pulling gently on the marrow and the bone, leaving the velocity behind, returning to the world that I have always known. The exit ramp is a curve of the concrete, guiding me down from the high speed and the roar. A descent into the peace, a homecoming to the quiet and the solitary shore. The arc of the ramp is a buffering melody, letting the nerves slowly and gently relax. The city streets appear below, following the rhythmic and the ordinariest tracks. There is no aggression of the engine here, only the conversation between the tire and the street. The traffic lights are blinking in the silence, making the salvation and the moment so sweet. The rain has stopped, leaving the asphalt like a black and a liquid-colored oil painting. The yellow lights are steady and warm, no longer sharp and no longer and never fainting. I feel the gravity of the reality, I feel the heartbeat of the sleeping-ish city. Exit ramp home is a period, ending the adventure of the neon in the city. Drop the speed, leave the line, everything is looking fine. Night is over, dream is deep, home is where the secrets keep. Exit ramp home, the final harbor of the soul, giving back the spirit, the absolute and total control. A majestic goodbye to the shadows and the gray. Welcome to the breaking of the coming morning day. The strings are weaving a grand tapestry of the sound, capturing the final and the deep emotion. In these final kilometers, I am tasting the residue of the velocity in the motion. From California sunset to Manhattan midnight, from the roaring 20s to the noir, every melody is concentrated here in the sanctuary of the homecoming and the bar. I see the window of my own home glowing with a microlight in the center of the dark. That is my coordinate, that is the meaning, and that is the spark. I slowly drive into the garage, and the warmth of the engine is the fragrance of the night, ending the ritual of the movement, ending the ritual of the artificial-ish light. The headlights hit the familiar wall, and I hear the click of the electronic in the lock. A celebration of the return before the arrival of the morning and the shock. I kill the final light and the world returns to the silence where it once began. The scent of the leather is still on my fingers, a testament of the person and the man. We are the drifters on the highway, searching for the exit of the spirit and the soul. And home is a sanctuary where we have the absolute and the total-ish control. Exit home is not the end, it is the prelude to the new and the coming morning dawn. In the residue of the piano, I am feeling the beauty that the spirit has lately drawn. recording every courage and recording every solitary doubt. Now I store it in the memory, waiting for the next time to figure exactly what it's about. The neon rain highway has vanished behind the heavy and the wooden handle door, but I can still hear the bass, I can still hear the rhythm on the laundry roomish floor. This is a prayer for the speed and a gentle confession of the homecoming and the grace in the embrace of the final destination. I found the true and the silent essence of the space. So sleep in peace, you machine of the steel and the fire that carried me through the dark. In the dew of the morning, feel the vibration of the meaning and the spark. Exit ramp, home is my promise, my only retreat in the middle of the frantic-ish age. In this final note, I finish the narrative on the solitary and the planetary page. The journey has stopped, but the melody will continue to flow and continue to roll. In this transition of the light, I saw the hope rising in the center of the absolute soul. Home is here, the dream is here, and I am here in the center of the morning-ish light. A perfect finale of the belonging, ending the duration of the heavy and the highway night. Ooh, the colors. Everything is melting into light. The world is turning into circles of the ember and the red, floating through the narrative and floating in the head. The raindrops on the window are the prisms for the glow, the only kind of rhythm that I really wanna know. Every street light is a planet, every signal is a star, reflected in the center of the speeding-ish car. I'm a navigator sailing on a sea of the blur, as the deeper emotions begin to slowly stir. The speed is like a medicine, the speed is like a grace, in this sophisticated and the solitary space. The lines upon the asphalt are a rhythmic kind of dash, turning every ordinary moment into a golden splash. The blue of the dashboard is the anchor of the soul, giving me the absolute and the total control over the velocity and over the desire, taking the ambition and the energy higher. I see the neon signs are bleeding in a pool of the blue, a landscape that is beautiful and absolutely new. They lose their rigid edges and they lose their heavy name. Part two's a lady in the same in the electric-ish game. The bokeh is a garden of the incandescent light, guiding us through the labyrinth of the highway night. It's a visual symphony, a masterpiece of shade, the finest decoration that the universe has made. Colors bleed, live the speed, blur and glow, let it go. Bokeh Highway, a journey through the liquid light, bathed in the reflection of the artificial night. A kaleidoscope of movement and a kaleidoscope of soul, giving back the spirit, the absolute and total control. The violin is screaming with a beauty and a fire, taking the adrenaline and the spirit even higher. It sounds like high ambition, and it sounds like a regret, a memory of something that hasn't happened yet. We're cutting through the silence with the swagger in the gait, refusing to be victims of a boring kind of fate. The engine is a heartbeat that is steady and is true, connecting every person and connecting me and you. Maybe the soul is just a light inside the mist, searching for a version of the joy that has existed, and the highway is the bridge between the future and the past, in a world of the velocity that's moving way too fast. I feel the vibration, the marrow and the bone, feeling less like a stranger and feeling less alone. The bokeh is a promise that the destination's right, defeating every particle of the heavy city night. Every orb of color is a fragment of a dream, a centerpiece of the planetary and the human scheme. The green of the open sign, the red of the weight, deciding on a dark and a twisting kind of fate. The piano is a cascade of the ivory and the black, keeping us upon the steady and the forward track. Bokeh Highway is the anthem of the movement and the heart of permanent and beautiful and solitary art. Colors bleed, reflect speed, blur and glow, let it go. Bokeh Highway, a journey through the liquid light, bathed in the reflection of the artificial night. A kaleidoscope of movement and a kaleidoscope of soul, giving back the spirit, the absolute and total control. The colors, everything is melting in the light. The light's emerging now into a single stream of gold, a story of the resurrection, ancient and it's old. I'm flying through the garden of the electric-ish grace, suspended in the center of the solitary space. The rain has turned the highway to a mirror of the sky, watching all the ordinary moments go on by. I am the author of the motion and the actor of the light, leaving my own signature inside the heavy dark. So let the speed continue and let the colors blur as the final realization begins to slowly stir. Bokeh Highway is the only thing I really need, a spiritual and a visual and a neon color creed. I leave the city far behind with the light inside the eyes, underneath the head.
The world outside is cold, and it is busy and it's loud, but I am hidden deep inside the leather-scented cloud. The upholstery is supple, and it's warm against the skin, where the noon and where the celebration start to begin. The sanctuary of the cedar and the charcoal and the gray, washing all the fragments of the weary city away. The interior is dark, but the instrument is bright, a radiant light that's shining through the center of the night. I feel the ergonomic embrace of the seated kind of chair, a temporary remedy for the burden of despair. The AC is a whisper, a mechanical-ish sigh, watching all the heavy city moments go on by. The cabin is a vacuum, the cabin is a shield. Everything the night has got to offer is revealed, safe inside the armor of the metal and the steel, making the recovery and the transformation real. The scent of luxury is earthy and it's deep, watching over secrets that the tired people keep. I wrap myself inside it like a coat of fine brocade, the finest decoration that the universe has made. The music from the speakers is a warm and steady flow, the only kind of rhythm that I really wanna know. I am the king of the kingdom, the master of the space, suspended in the center of the solitary grace. Leather and wood, feeling so good, seal the door. Ask for no more, the leather sanctuary, a moving piece of home. No matter where I wander, no matter where I roam, a private conversation between the spirit and the sea, making the salvation and the moment so sweet. Dashboard light is reflecting in the center of the eyes, underneath the cover of the cloudy urban skies. It blurs the edges of the room and blurs the edges of the mind, leaving all the trouble and the static far behind. The silence is a texture, the silence is a weight, a sanctuary offered by the hands of the fate. I find my equilibrium in the center of the drive, reminding me that in this moment I am finally alive. Maybe the soul is just a passenger in the seat, waiting for the duration and the salvation of me. And the car is the vessel that is carrying the heart, a permanent and beautiful and solitary art. I feel the circulation, returning to the hand. A stranger in a strange and a very friendly land. The leather sanctuary is the anthem of the skin, a spiritual and a sensory and a warm kind of sin. Every button is a promise, and every dial is a truth, searching for the lost and the innocence of vanished youth. The roads is a cushion for the mechanical-ish sound, the finest kind of sanctuary that I have ever found. I surrender to the softness, I surrender to the glow, everything that I really, really, really need to know. The leather sanctuary is the only thing I need, a spiritual and a sensory, and a leather-colored creed, leather and wood, feeling so good, seal the door. Ask for no more, the leather sanctuary, a moving piece of home. No matter where I wander, and no matter where I roam, a private conversation between the spirit and the sea, making the salvation and the moment so sweet. Breathe it in, safe within.
The expressway is a ribbon of the asphalt and the night, cutting through the distance with the speed and with the light. I am a metal arrow flying through the heavy dark, leaving on the atmosphere a professional and cool mark. The engine is a monster that is roaring in the chest, denying us the comfort and the temporary rest. We're building up the momentum, we're building up the fire, taking the ambition and the energy higher. The joints in the concrete are a rhythmic kind of thud, pumping the adrenaline into the heavy blood. It's the cadence of the progress, the cadence of the move, finding in the velocity the deep and soulful groove. I see the city towers like a memory in the rear, erasing every worry and erasing every fear. I'm a navigator sailing on a sea of the gray, chasing all the fragments of the weary city away. The expressway is a cathedral of the modernish life, cutting through the struggle and cutting through the strife. It's got a bit of gospel and it's got a bit of grit, and I am loving every single little part of it. The saxophone is screaming with a beauty and a grin, where the victory and where the celebration begin. We're navigating through the labyrinth of the iron and the stone, feeling very comfortable being all alone. Thump, thump the beat, heat on the street, drive on, look high under the sky. The Expressway Blues, a rivet piece of soul.
trajectory and following the course of a destination hidden in the center of the mist. A magical encounter that the morning hasn't kissed. The speedometer is climbing like a prayer to the sky, watching all the ordinary moments go on by. I feel the circulation returning to the hand, a stranger in a strange and a very friendly land. Maybe the soul is just a driver in the dark, searching for a meaning and searching for a spark. And the expressway is the target, the expressway is the goal, making the fragmented and the broken spirit whole. The rhythm is a therapy for the restless and the mind, leaving all the trouble and the static far behind. We are but the survivors of the high-speed shades, writing our own history on the solitary page. Every bridge is a sentence, and every tunnel is a word, the finest kind of poetry that I've ever heard. The expressway blues is permanent. It's a fire in the bone, the strongest and the coolest feeling I have ever known. So let the engine roar and let the saxophone complain, transforming all the losses into a spiritual gain. The concrete is a canvas and the concrete is a stage, witnessing the glory of the modern shade. Thump, thump, the beat, heat on the street, drive on, look high under the sky. The expressway blues, a riven piece of soul, taking back the spirit and the absolute control. Oh, a kinetic celebration in the middle of the night, guiding us through the labyrinth of the artificial light. The exit is a memory, the entrance is a dream, a centerpiece of the planetary and the human scheme. I reach my hand out and I touch the steering wheel of life, defeating every particle of the heavy city night. The expressway blues has done its work of mercy and of grace, suspended in the center of the solitary space. The velocity is a protector and the velocity is a friend, as the journey of the night comes to its magnificent end. So thank you for the asphalt, and thank you for the heat, for making every ordinary moment look so very sweet. The expressway blues is the anthem of the soul, for helping me to regain the absolute and total control. I leave the highway with the rhythm in the gate, refusing to be victims of a heavy kind of fate. Expressway blues is the only thing I really, really need. Can you hear it? Fading in, fading out. The needle moves across the dial of the heavy heart, searching for a frequency where the story can start. A hiss of the static and a crackle of the air, a magnificent and beautiful and solitary prayer. The signal is weak, but the feeling is so strong. Where where the sentences are beautiful and the night is very long. I hear a ghost of a melody from a distant summer day, watching as the fragments of the city wash away. It sounds like a memory, it sounds like a regret, something that the spirit haven't finished quite just yet. The static is a ocean, the static is a shroud, wrapping all the ordinary moments in a cloud. I see the red light of the radio glowing in the dark, searching for a meaning and searching for a spark. 1 second it's clear and 1 second it is gone, a prelude to the breaking of the coming morning dawn. The trumpet is a voice that is reaching for the soul, giving back the spirit, the absolute and total control. It speaks of the separation and it speaks of the link, a combination of the sensory and the intellectual. Think I'm a navigator sailing on a sea of the white noise, robbing me of equilibrium and robbing me of poise. But in the center of the static I can find the peace, giving the exhausted soul a ribbon release. Crackle and fade, light in the shade, tune it in, let it begin. Static on the radio, a conversation with the past, a beauty and a mystery that is designed to last. A signal in the middle of the highway-ish night, guiding us through the labyrinth of the artificial light. There's a comfort in the fuzzy and a comfort in the blur, as the deeper emotions begin to slowly stir. The static is the honesty of the air and of the space, suspended in the center of the solitary grace. It tells us that the world is bigger than we really know, the only kind of rhythm that I really wanna know. I see the lights of the distant town through the heavy mist, a magical encounter that the morning hasn't kissed. Maybe the soul is just a station on the dial, waiting for a recognition and waiting for a smile. And the static is the distance between the you and me, opening the portals of the opportunity. I hear a voice whispering from a long ago time, putting every feeling into rhythm and a rhyme. Static on the radio is a legacy of the sound, the finest kind of sanctuary that I have ever found. The rose is a cushion for the electric-ish hiss, adding to the magic of the nostalgic-ish bliss. We are but survivors of the analogous age, writing our own history on the solitary page. The signal is dying, but the memory is bright, defeating every particle of the heavy city night. Static on the radio is the anthem of the heart, a permanent and beautiful and solitary art. Crackle and fade, light in the shade, tune it in, let it begin. Static on the radio, a conversation with the past, a beauty and a mystery that is designed to last. A signal in the middle of the highway-ish night, guiding us through the labyrinth of the artificial light. Sing it low, let it go. Signal returns with a sudden and a clear pop, refusing to let the nostalgic any eventually stop. A final high chorus before the battery is dead. Long after every single word of love has been said, I feel a sense of lightness and I feel a sense of grace, suspended in the center of the solitary space. The static was the bridge that carried me through the dark, leaving on the atmosphere professional and cool mark. So thank you for the crackle and thank you for the air, for helping me to give all the energy and prayer. Static on the radio is the anchor of the mind, leaving all the trouble and the static far behind. I leave the dial with the rhythm in the head, underneath the cover of the cloudy urban skies. Static on the radio is the only thing I really, really need, a spiritual and a nostalgic and a lo-fi kind of creed. Crackle and
mouth of the beast, swallowed by the silence of the stone. The world narrows down to a single line, heading into the deep geological zone. The amber sodium lamps flicker across the roof in a ripping 1, 2, 3, 4 beat. Like a mechanical pulse hammering away at the logic that is starting to feel incomplete. The tiles on the wall reflect a cold and a jagged and a sterile kind of yellow light. I am flowing through the artificial veins, refusing to turn back into the rainy night. There is no wind here, no direction, just an endless and a yellow-colored loop. Like a grand and a solitary meditation, a ritual for the high-velocity driven true. The dashboard numbers burn in the center of the pupils, a digital fire in the dark. I am searching for the equilibrium, searching for meaning and searching for a spark. The hum of every lamp as it passes is a provocation to the silence of the weary mind. Stretching my thoughts into a thin wire, leaving the confusion and the static far behind. There is no starlight here, only the artificial bulb simulating a permanent daytime glow, allowing me to find freedom in this isolated and this concrete heavy flow. Tunnel vision blurs the edges of the reality, leaving only the exit at the far end. Waiting for the next reason to breathe, waiting for the arrival of a distant friend. Lights pass by, a rhythmic kind of blink. Inside the tunnel, losing the ability to think. The rhythm of the speed, the circularity of you, cutting off the connection to the old and the new. Tunnel vision, a journey through the deep underground, where the metal heartbeat is the only living sound. Amber-colored lights writing a poem without a single word, the finest kind of melody that the spirit ever heard. Ceiling, a primitive and a grand roar, opening the portal of the high speed and the solitary-ish heavy metal door. The shadows on the wall are like phantoms cut into fragments by the passing beam. A race against the gravity in the center of the planetary and the human scheme. Of the rain, the vision becomes sharp and it becomes clear, focusing on the infinite white line, erasing every worry and erasing every fear. Every second of the movement is a profound and a sophisticated kind of grace space, suspended in the concrete enclosed space. The air is thick with the scent of the mineral oil and the friction of the wheel. The spark of the civilization making the recovery and the transformation real. I don't think about the destination, I don't think about the burden of the past. Just enjoying the duration of the will, and that's the difference, the pills and the nurture fast. The womb of the city, nurturing the peace and nurturing the soul. In the interval
breath of the earth is calling me back. I am carrying this deep focus, ready for the transition of the solitary track. Final sodium lamp flickers in the rearview mirror, and in the baptism of light, I re-embrace the wind and the rain, feeling the shiver of the real and in the night. The tunnel is a fragment of a memory left behind in the weight of the hill, but I am still on the road, carrying the purity and carrying in the still. The speed is increasing, the heartbeat is matching above the move, emerging from the hallucination, heading back into neon-colored groove. This is a study of the vision, learning how to see the light inside the dark, learning how to forget the baggage, searching for the meaning and the spark. Tunnel vision is a filter for the spear, removing the noise and the static of the day.